It's alright. As long as we're getting all 4 best of 5s played, I'll be happy. Cure says ok ok with a sad face. Sorry, Cure. I'll bring you a snack in Dallas. Little present. We'll give Cure something. What can I get Cure in Dallas, guys? Think of cute little tiny gifts that I can give him. Maybe I can just buy something at the Dutch airport. I'll bring him some stroopwafels. Maybe that will cheer him up. Yeah. Then I guess we can remove this prediction. I'm gonna delete it, guys, and start the next prediction. The match that was supposed to be our final match, but it doesn't really matter because all 4 matches today are main events. They're all $150 for the winner and $50 for the loser. So we're going to do Reynor versus Oliveira. That will obviously be solo casted by me. Reynor is not going to cast his own game because that would make it impossible for us not to prevent any cheating. So we, of course, don't want that. I don't want Reynor to hear me say anything about the game that could help him. Reynor versus Oliveira, best of 5. BBB number 60. Asia edition. Cool. A rematch of the Intel Extreme Masters quarterfinal of the year 2022. That does mean that I can obviously talk to you guys during this series. And if you guys have any questions, stuff that you really want me to desperately ask Reynor, I can go ahead and do it for the next one. I know the bet is gone and the new bet is live for the upcoming 10 minutes. Reynor said he needs 3 or 4 minutes to get ready. Because going from like your casting phase to suddenly playing is obviously a bit tricky. So we'll give Reynor 2-3 minutes to get ready. And as soon as he's back, they're going to fire up the Vetoes. And we'll just cast at ZVT. Unless Solar magically shows up and we change our plans again. But I don't think that's going to happen. I actually don't think he's seen it yet, Metachova. I'll forward it to him. He cannot watch VODs. That's the problem. If you're in Korea, you cannot watch any Twitch VODs. So, and I did not put it on YouTube. It was funny, but I don't know if it was that funny. What is Reynor's favorite Italian car? I know that Reynor for a while had a similar dream to me, and that is of having a Mustang. If Reynor has a good performance this summer at the Esports World Cup, I'm sure that he's going to treat himself to something nice. I don't know if that's still a Mustang or if it's something Italian or maybe something German. Who knows? Hello, Sharky. Yeah, it's a very different Big Brain Bouts. Always a different time. You guys, for anybody that's watching right now that's not normally familiar with this tournament, every single Friday that I am available, if there is no other big Starcraft tournament running or we are not traveling for a Starcraft tournament, we run this tournament, and it always starts 6 p.m. European time, so that should be noon on the East Coast for 85% of the year, 9 a.m. on the West Coast. And then we have a mixture between European and American players. I try to get Asian players, and we've had a few Taiwanese and I think Vietnamese players, but it's very hard to get the Koreans to play because those games would normally start for them 2, 3, 4 a.m. and that's not something they're very interested in. But for today, we decided to switch it up. I let Reynor pick the time. Reynor said, let's go ahead and kick things off at 10 a.m. Central European time, 5 p.m. for the Koreans. We'll do this, and then after that, we've got WTL Codex as well.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, matey.
I'm back. We're vetoing.
Awesome. Are you excited for it?
I'm excited, yeah.
Right.
I want to see Paynam play. And see what he does against me.
I watched him play a best of 7 show match against Rogue not too long ago. He actually played really good in that one.
Yeah. He was very down after he lost in China.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, some of the Terrans, they just really struggle in TVP at the moment. I don't think it's necessarily that Protoss is mega good, even though Protoss obviously got a lot better. It's just that a lot of the builds that they practiced for such a long time that they really believed in, they are just not as powerful anymore. So it takes a little while, right, before you really find new comfortable ways to play the matchup and get happy with everything that you do.
Yeah, exactly. And I also a lot of people are going through this weird phase mentally where they're like, they feel like maybe Protoss is a little bit too strong. I got a lot of the Terrans as well, like Oliveira is going through this where he feels like Toss is a little bit too strong, and I think it got to his head quite a bit. I was talking to him, where he's like he has mindset problems. I went through this a little bit as well. When you start thinking about the balance constantly, and you think, oh, this is a little bit unfair and stuff like that, it really gets to you.
Yeah, because confidence is so important, right? Whatever your opening may be, you need to play with heart and commitment. You need to believe that it can work. But there is always a scenario where it doesn't work. And if you start believing that no matter what you do, they'll always have the right answer, then it's also a lot less likely that it's going to find the damage that you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
While you're doing your vetoes, mate, I'm pretty sure you can multitask a little bit. Chat wants to know, what is your dream Italian car?
Italian car. I wanted well, first I wanted a Mustang really badly, but I'm not really that much into Italian cars. And then I wanted a Porsche. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, it's those are my dreams as well, mate. I'm 37. I never managed to do it, but you've got 16 years. You might be able to do it.
Let's hope so. Well, maybe if I do well in Saudi Arabia.
I'm gonna try to do very well in Saudi Arabia too, but I don't think it's gonna give me a Mustang.
Give it all, mate.
I'm gonna give it 110. All right, I wish you all the best. Any final words to the people that are watching before we hop into you versus still the world champion of StarCraft 2?
Not really. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I think it has been a little bit messy, but it has been very fun. Honestly, I enjoyed it, and no, I will give it all here for this series against Oliveira. So
I think you did a great
exciting.
job. I think you did a great job, mate. I know you're not normally a tournament organizer, so stepping out of your comfort zone. We have seen good StarCraft. Hopefully we get to see even better StarCraft. Wish you all the best. I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, mate. See you later. See you on the other side. Bye-bye.
Game 1 is going to be played on Oceanborn between Reynor and Oliveira, who's actually listed as time. I'm just going to hang up on the call as well, because I don't really need to stay in this call. It's going to be a banger. I am sure a lot of you guys were watching live 2 years ago when Reynor played in the quarterfinals of IEM Katowice against the man that was known as Time, still known as Time right here, but obviously we're going to call him Oliveira. Reynor took the 1-0 lead. They had that crazy freaking game on, was it Dragon Skills, right? Is that the map name? I'm so bad in remembering old maps, but I believe it was Dragon Skills, where it looked like Reynor had it, and Oliveira got so freaking close. And then in the end, the final bailing that Reynor had blew up the last few marines. Reynor took the 2-0 lead, and we all thought like, well, okay, Reynor's gonna win. But at least that was mega fun, mega exciting. And how wrong were we? Oliveira became an absolute god on that magical day. To me, one of the most special, memorable, magical days of StarCraft 2 that we've ever seen. Let's hope that this best of 5 will have a tiny bit of that magic that we had back then in February 2022.
Let's get it on. Round 1, fight!
In the bottom right side, we're looking at the main base of the now Italian StarCraft 2 caster, as he has casted more offline events this year than many of us. Perhaps including myself. This is BASILISK Reynor, casting the GSL, casting Stars War. It's just a matter of time before he's gonna take the Monday night weeklies away from me as well. It's unbelievable, the kid can do it all. Top left side, we are looking at the main base of the man who seems to be a tiny bit down when it comes to TVP. But TVC has to be a matchup that he still enjoys, and I'm sure he is ready to put on a fence. We have a Chinese caster in the lobbies as well, it's Saber. This is Dragon Kaizi Gaming, Oliveira. Wasn't he at IEM as well? Yeah, he was on the analysis desk, that is correct, for the grand finals. This year it was Sarol versus Maru. We had a little 20-minute preview. I think it was Ben, Claros, me, and Reynor. Yeah, Reynor was sitting with us in the green room, and he said we were figuring out who was going to cast the grand finals and who was going to be on the analysis desk. And the original plan was for Pig and... was it? I don't know what it was. Was it? Because in the end it was Wardy and Pig who casted, right? Was it Wardy and Pig or Zombie Group? Anyway, I think it was supposed to be Piggy and me who were going to cast the grand finals. And then we were going to try to figure out who was going to do the analysis desk before the grand finals of IEM Katowice. And then Reynor was sitting there and he said, I'll do it. And then everybody kind of liked the idea, but then they said, Roddy, you should be on the analysis desk too instead of casting, because you and Reynor have good energy together. So I was like, all right. Was it Zombie Grub and Wardy? What did Piggy do then? Did Piggy do nothing? Was Pig just done? That feels weird, but... If you guys want to know what you've missed so far in the Big Brain Bouts, you can always just press !B or !bracket. That will link you to the Wikipedia page. This is the third of 4 series that we have. Was it Pig and Zombie Grub casting the Grand Finals? Okay. I thought it was Wadi. No, Wadi casted Grand Finals this year. Pretty certain Wadi casted IM Katowice Grand Finals. But it doesn't matter. TLDR, we've had 2 series. The first one was a 3-0. Hero was all over Gumio and just kind of dominated him from start to finish. I'd be lying if I said I think those games were very close. But the second series was awesome. Shin and Nightmare put on a show. Very crazy games. It was bizarre. We had a good time. As Oliveira was having a good time so far with his Reaper. Killing 2 Zerglings. Not a bad start. Opening, very standard. We have a factory with a reactor. We're producing some Hellions. And we have a third command center coming online in the main base as well. Zombie Grub is such a great caster. Yeah, I totally agree. I recently met up with a very old Warcraft 3 friend of mine. Somebody that I hadn't seen for 16 years. And when I say I hadn't seen him, I'm talking about I haven't seen a picture. I haven't seen a live stream. I haven't seen him in an event. So it was very cool for me to meet up with someone from so long ago. And he was talking to me about Starcraft, and he said he actually watches a lot of Starcraft, even though he's still a Warcraft 3 boy. And he let me know multiple times that he's actually a very big fan of Zombie Grub. That he thinks that Zombie Grub, together with me, but I think he just said that because I'm his friend, are the best Starcraft 2 casters out there. And he really loves ZG. I forwarded the info to ZG and she loved it. He's like, oh, that's so sweet of him. Tell him I said thank you. And I told him I agree. Because I do think ZG is omega awesome. And in a weird way, still sometimes a tiny bit underappreciated. I really feel like he deserves more love. Reynor has opened up, guys, with a whole bunch of roaches. He's going to rally these roaches to the other side of the map. This reminds me of a build that he did against Clem a little while ago in the Grand Finals of the European Pro Tour Weekly. And since Oliveira has gone for a battlecruiser opening, he's just completely unaware that this is happening. What does Oliveira have right now that's good against roaches? The answer is not a whole lot, guys. He's gonna lose SCVs here. The only question is how many. Don't think he should die, but he's gonna lose, I think at the bare minimum, 10-15 workers. Good chance we're gonna lose a lot of these Hellions too. He's gonna, oh, I like this fight, by the way. Look at the Hellions splashing all over these roaches. It is minus 11 so far, but kind of like the defense. It's still painful though. It looked interesting and spectacular for a split second, but we are going to end up losing probably those 15 SCVs that I mentioned. One of the low HP roaches now morphing into a Ravager. As we have raised the depot, there are 3-4 SCVs remaining on the low ground. Cyclone comes out, and that's going to help maybe kill this. No, going to let it finish. Alright, here's the battlecruiser. Does Reynor have an answer for a BC? Kind of think he does. He is going to use tactical jump immediately to the other side of the map. So Oliveira down 28 workers as we speak. Knows he's got his work cut out for him. And is going to try to make this game a little closer, a little more competitive. This battlecruiser could be in a tiny bit of trouble. Now I know they're very tanky, and we don't have to be too dramatic about battlecruisers dying. It's a lot of damage though, very quick. And it's going to make it very difficult for Oliveira to find follow-up damage. Yeah. I mean, it's always an opinion, best lover. You can say that for you personally, nothing beats Tastosis, but for many other people, that's going to be very different. It is not a competition as in there is a winner and a loser. It comes down to personal preference, and you love Tastosis, many other people love Tastosis, but for every Tastosis fan, there could be a Wadi fan, a Piggy fan, a Zombie Grub fan. I personally think some of the other casters are just as good, if not better, but that's just my opinion, right? You can have a different opinion, and that's okay. Yeah. You hope I will be invited to the Bulgarian tournament in September. I can let you know, mate, that I will be invited to that. I actually helped Exalted a little bit in the past. Getting him in contact with some of the players that he wants to invite to that Bulgarian Starcraft 2 offline event we've got coming up somewhere in September in Stara Zagora. And I will definitely be there, matey. I also think Maynard was very good. I love Maney. I think Maney knows that the doors are always open for him to make a comeback. Because it's not that we ever stopped wanting Maynard or that Maynard stopped getting invited. It was just that the travel was becoming a little bit too much. And I can understand that. If you live in Australia, it's not easy to casually fly up and down to Europe or America in economy class. Just like it's not going to be easy for Oliveira to deal with this many queens, roaches, and potentially some ravages as well, as the ravages are morphing on the other side of the map. Am I watching the NBA Finals? I'm not watching anything live, but I am following who's beating who. I saw that the Mavericks took the 1-0 lead. Can these two BCs kill all these queens? Queens obviously cannot transfuse each other when there is no creep. There is an Overlord coming. Reynor could maybe use that Overlord to drop some creep, but it doesn't even really seem mandatory. The Italian Stallion, the man from Basilisk, who was casting the first two best of fives, just has way too much stuff here. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances for Oliveira, who tried to give us a little Macarino action. All the factories were ready to pump out tanks, Hellions, Cyclones. Reynor just got himself too far ahead. The income graph does not lie, and if the Zerg is mining that much more, there's very little you're gonna do with a few tanks and a few Hellions. I'm gonna take a sip of tea, because I don't think you guys really need me to do that too crazy over here. Reynor looking strong, hitting sharp timings, doing a really good job in hiding his opening and sneaking those roaches to the other side of the map. Almost felt like me. This was a picture-perfect copy of that game that he had against Clem that I referred to earlier. As a Terran, it's hard to always keep track of every move out there is. Oliveira just didn't see it. Got blindsided. Here are those roaches, ravages. This is a bit of a painful attack as we are moving everything into the meat grinder. But Reynor just probably feels there is no way that this game is ever going to go wrong for him. Corrosive balls connecting with the SCVs once more. 111 army supply against 22. That will do it. It's Basilisk Reynor who takes the 1-0 lead over Oliveira. Strong game. Strong game by Reynor. A frustrating one for Oliveira. It's still early for you. Yeah. You're not alone, mate. Obviously, the show is not over, guys. Once the Big Brain Bouts is done, we've got this best of 5, at least 2 more games, hopefully a few more. And after that, we've got Cure Solar. Where can you watch that? Over here or maybe on Reynor's stream. And that will start after this match. It got postponed. Because Solar, even though Solar was the man who helped Reynor putting all of this together, did not realize that he had to play. So he's not home at the moment, and he said he'll be home in approximately 30 minutes. That's why we flopped the series around. Game 2 will be played on Dynasty. The map that our boy Reynor is not a very big fan of. He mostly hates it against Protoss, but I don't think he really loves it against Terran either. He even has a bot comment in his chat on how much he loves Dynasty. What he loves most about this map are all the interesting and unique ways that the Zerg cannot take the gold base and the other races can. That's his favorite part. We're still gonna see him on it. Maybe he's cooking up something magical.
Round 2. Fight!
Top right side of Dynasty. We are looking at the main base of the man who will obviously be back on the microphone for that final best of 5 between Solar and Cure. Representing Basilisk, having a good time in Korea. Even if the main journey did not work out, unfortunately could not get a run going in GSL Kodas. He's still having a fun time, streaming some Korean ladder for you guys and meeting cool people. This is Reynor. And of course, he's gonna be in Dallas, guys. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of still the reigning, defending, undisputed world champ of Starcraft 2. Because Cerro, by winning Katowice this year, did not take that title. As we will not crown a world champ of Starcraft 2 in the year 2024 until Esports World Cup this summer. That's coming up in 3 months, give or take. Dragon Kaiser Gaming's Oliveira. Why do you think it's the worst takes ever, Mr. Spark Boom, man? I'm curious about that. What does that make? What did the man say for that to be one of the worst takes ever? I'm curious. I think everybody's allowed to have different opinions, guys. Just because you really enjoy something, that doesn't mean that everybody else has to agree with you and also enjoy it just as much. I wouldn't quite say that it's full-time SC2 casting though, mate. It's nowhere near full-time. If you want to put it in hours, right? How many hours a year of StarCraft 2 do Nick and Dan currently cast? I know that Artosis casts one tournament a week. He does the American Weekly, and Tasteless casts the GSL. That's really not that many hours. That is not full-time. That's not even part-time. They're obviously still incredibly good, but to say that they are full-time casting SC2, I don't think that's really accurate. Look at Oliveira. His first Reaper runs to the other side of the map and kills a drone. That is not something that's supposed to happen. As a Zerg player, you're allowed to lose a Ling. 2 Lings is annoying, but even that's still okay. The drones, they are meant to stay alive. Nice start here for Oli. I really love Oliveira. Of course, we love Reynor and we love anybody on Basilisk, and I'm going to always root for my teammates, but Oliveira is an incredibly cool dude and such a cool story. And I would love to see him at least put up a proper fight here. I agree that State is also doing a very nice job in the GSL. It will be fun to see State in Dallas, right? I hope that I get to cast a couple series with him, but it will also be very fun to see him cast with Wardy and Zombie Grub and Fear Dragon. It's gonna be cool. I'm glad that ESL is willing to, basically give almost everyone a shot. And sure, I think many of you guys wish that more people were there, and that goes for me as well. I can think of 2, 3, 4 other casters that I would have loved to be there. I was hoping that Artosis was maybe willing to make the trip to Dallas, because obviously he lives in Canada these days, and traveling from Canada to Dallas is not, crazy intensive and doesn't take forever. But I'm sad to see that it didn't work out. Would have been very fun to have Dan there. And of course, Nick and Dan together would have been amazing, but didn't really count on that. Oliveira is firing up hyperflight rotors. Do we think he's serious about that? There is a chance he's serious about it. We did obviously get to see the max setup in game 1. He wasn't quite able to truly get it rolling just because he took so much freaking economic damage, but it was obvious that that was the plan, and those were his intentions. So Bauman Wasser, it is Reynor who has put the card together with Solar. I wouldn't quite say that that is the case though, mate. If you're saying, like, I feel like there are 4 clear favorites here, then sure. I don't think that Ragnarok was a very big favorite over Nightmare. If you ask me, I think that was kind of 50-50. Cure should be able to put up more than a good fight against Solar. I agree that Hero was a bit of a favorite over Gumio, but if Gumio brings his A game, that could have been a very competitive and fun series. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but I like the matchups today, mate. And seeing 2 world champs duke it out against each other in a best of 5 is always a treat. You would have predicted Nightmare to win. I think I would have gone for Nightmare too, to be completely honest. Lately I've been a tiny bit more impressed by Nightmare than Shin. Even though I know that Shin is always capable of a win because he plays his own blend of Zerg and he's very good at what he does. So counting him out is silly, but I would have not said that that was a very predictable outcome. It's like, oh, 3-1 Shin, sure, that's something that everybody would have called. I would have gone for Nightmare. Yeah, Nightmare definitely had chances to win the games. He could have won Crimson Court if he didn't move out the first time or didn't move out the second time. And he also absolutely could have won Ghost River, right? If he doesn't lose the Oracles, if he doesn't let all the Zealots hog 2 Banelings that just finished morphing, and he doesn't lose Oracles against Corrosive Balls, he probably could have won that game too. Reynor has been able to get his hands on the Mega Base. Not quite mining from it fully yet, but it is getting saturated. He's taking the Rich Vespine guys too. Dealing with Banshees that have hyperflight rotors is going to be a bit tricky. He doesn't need overseers here, but the Banshees are so freaking quick. And there is a nice amount of wiggle room between all these bases. As he now gets the Banshees in the sweet spot of the pocket expand. Maybe Oliveira needs to make sure that the low HP Banshee doesn't get shot at anymore. As it takes one more shot. Reynor working with 74 drones. I mean, he already said it while he was casting. Loves playing with a very high number of workers. Well, some of the Korean Zerg, you think of Solar, you think of Ragnarok, whether it's ZVT or ZVP, like to be aggressive of lower worker counts. Reynor is all about the old school Zerg of play. Yona would approve of it. All the drones, all the workers, we'll take it from there. Do think there is potential for Oliveira. I feel like overall this game has gone pretty decent for him. Like 8 drones is not devastating for Reynor. But if you're Oliveira and you haven't lost any significant units, hasn't actually lost any units at all. Killing 8 workers, it's something you can work with as long as you don't make any big mistakes with Marines. And well, what is important, by the way, is that he starts pushing the creep back a little bit. Reynor is working with a ridiculous amount of map vision. Having map vision obviously is not gonna make you win a fight if these two armies clash. 1-1 is done for Oliveira. He's got stim, he's got combat shield. Did not repair his Banshee. That makes me a little bit sad because I do feel like 2 healthy Banshees would help a little here. As Reynor setting up a surround already. Is Reynor just gonna send it immediately? Yes, he is. As he's coming in from the top right and the bottom at the same time. Banelings finding okay connections, but a lot of them did end up crashing into some of these tanks and whatnot. Marine count is still incredibly high. Reynor down to 4 Zerglings and 3 Banes. Yeah, that's nowhere near enough. You can have all the bases in the world, you can have all the creep in the world, and even queens with energy. If you don't have any Lings or Banes, you are in trouble. Oliveira with 85 supply on creep. Reynor with a few more Banes. Nope, still not finding any really meaningful connections. He's just dead, guys. Reynor is just dead. A long time ago, the Dutch Zerg Red said, if you play the game of drones, you either live as a rich man, or you die because of your greed. And Reynor was perhaps a tiny bit too greedy here. The mechanics look good, on point, creep spread excellent, all the bases, no supply blocks, all the overlords. Just taking a fight there, thinking he could jump on that army, that was the right moment to go for it. Oliveira did a good job in keeping more than enough Marines alive. Some of the Banelings found okay connections, but obviously quite a few of them crashed into Hellbats, crashed into the tank. And then Reynor was just running completely out of steam. And Red was so good at building drones. And that is why Red was the first ever official European champion of Starcraft 2. Fun fact. Tournament in Poland. Beautiful event. One of my all-time favorites, actually, believe it or not. Year 2011, we did many tournaments after that. I think that was probably like my 5th or 6th event ever. We can take a little look at that. 5th or 6th event ever. It was called the European Battle.net Invitational, I believe. Where's my list? My 7th event ever. This was the first time that I ever casted an offline event together with Mr. Beta. This is the one that Red won. I think he beat... I want to say Torzan in the final, but that doesn't sound right. Tarzan was there, Torzan was there. Red was good. Maybe he beat White Red? I don't know. One of you guys is going to have to Google that. I remember Red winning, but I forgot who he beat in the finals. Torzan is a safe pick, but was it Naniwa? Was Naniwa 2nd place? Could be Naniwa actually, because Naniwa did take a lot of 2nd places in the beginning of his career. That was a thing. He's not known as a guy that finishes 2nd or 3rd, but in the very beginning, before he won his first big MLG, Naniwa did have a lot of deep tournament runs and he never won. So, yeah, you could actually be right that it was Naniwa.
Round 2, fight!
Nope, sorry, it's not round 2, guys.
Round 3, fight!
Tie things up. Golden Aura, bottom right side. A little too greedy, perhaps, even though things were looking good for him. It is Basilisk Reynor. As we have successfully loaded into Golden Aura. In the top left side, a man who's having nightmares of TVP at the moment, but probably still is one of the very best TVC players on the planet. Your world champion of StarCraft 2, DKZ Oliveira. From China, of course. Yeah, Torzane winning TSL 3 I think is very memorable, even though I did not cast that tournament. But I do remember watching pretty much every single day as a very passionate young StarCraft 2 fan. And they had that little offline finals where they made the fun meme videos, right? Where they played the board games and Naniwa smacked away the chessboard or checkers, whatever it was. Some good content coming out of Team Liquid in the very early days. And obviously surprising semifinals back then with Torzane, I think, beating MC. And Naniwa beat somebody else. Sarutobi is letting us know that Oliveira treated Maru to KFC at the airport. Maru taught him something as a reward. Did he? Is it to send out a couple of the boys early on and build barracks on the other side of the map? Not something that I've really seen Oliveira do a whole lot throughout his career. Maru used to do it all the time. The most hyped thing of TSL 3 was Hazuab's beating boxing. No, it was the one zealot of Noni killing 17 SCVs of Strelok. And there was not one person on the planet that was like, maybe Strelok should like send his SCVs away. It was all like, oh my god, Noni's or Tyler Zealot is so good. And we had Mondragon beating the Bulgarian Protoss player. Maybe it was called Xerex. Mondragon against Xerex, and he built him with roaches, and everybody was going crazy. It's like, oh my god, he beat Void Rays with roaches. TSL 3 gave us a little sneak peek of things that were to come in the future of StarCraft 2. It was a very fun event. And definitely a few players that even if they didn't make the biggest impact on StarCraft 2 history, that did show us the way that just because somebody's building air units, it doesn't mean that you now have to sit at home and build anti-air. No. You can actually just overrun them on the ground and win the game economically. Didn't Adol Scott beat MVP as well, or was that TSL 4? By becoming the Gateway Man, guys. The absolute original Gateway Man was Adol Scott from France. Beating a multiple time GSL Code S champion already at that point with just Zealots and Stalkers. Zealot charge, Stalkers blink. It was good enough. Heli number 3 and 4 on the way for Oliveira as we have another triple CC set up, and he's gonna go for Banshees. Don't think he's gonna go for Hyperflight Rotors this time around. It's gonna be the standard Heli and Banshee, and we'll take it from there. The smiley face on Shakura's plateau it was, eh? Yeah, I can see that a lot of you guys are old. None of you guys are gonna convince me that you guys are in your early 20s when you remember these fine, tiny details of TSL 3. Exposed, chat. Freaking boomers over here, but it's all good. You were about 12, 13 back then. Yeah, we all had hopes for a lot more VIP, but he did his best, mate. StarCraft 2 is a very difficult game. That's the main reason why I still like watching it. And that's, I think, a reason why a lot of you guys don't play it, but also watch it. Best players in the world are so incredibly good. And even if you are as good as Reynor, there is no guarantee that you can just always show up and get the best of the other guys. It's not like players like Gumio and Hero are not doing their best. Big Brain Bouts starting always earlier. This is literally the first time ever that we don't do it at 6 p.m, mate. I don't know how you can say that it always starts earlier. We always start 6 p.m. Central European time or Central European summertime, depending on the season. This is the very first edition ever that we don't start at 6. So this is not always. This is a one-off. And it's a little special before we all go to Dallas. And obviously, get some entertainment out of Reynor currently being in Korea. 63 drones at the moment, 7 more on the way as Reynor's already dropping that infestation pit. Always so freaking quick and trying to tack up and just taking it to the late game. It's a risky game that Reynor is playing though, because Oliveira is still incredibly deadly with some of those early move outs. Now Oli is obviously focusing on his own macro as he's dropped the 4th command center already as well. But he can still go all the way up to 8 racks, double factory, and start pushing. It will be difficult for Reynor to get any value out of the quick hive then, but might be able to get away with it. We'll see how it plays out. How old are you, by the way, Gugus? I've watched you stream a couple times, and it's pretty obvious that you're relatively young, but you're also not crazy young. You're like 19 or so? 18? I like that we have a new generation of French players coming up. With Kukut and Gugus, and they're streaming too. We need some new streamers, as a lot of the old streamers have kind of moved on or are streaming different games. You're 21, alright, it's not even that young. I'm happy to see some of the kids streaming. +1 attack and +1 armor, close to finishing up for Oliveira, as he is morphing or upgrading the 4th base, I should say, into a planetary fortress. Terran buildings do not morph, they just upgrade. Not even that young. Gugus looks young. 7 minutes and 37 seconds, and the Ultralisk Cavern is going down in the natural. Hello, Leaf. Sir, Loof. Leaf. Leaf means sweet, by the way. I just called you sweet, Loof. By accident. You're young, Loof. You're a young, beautiful spirit full of life. First Vipers on the production tab already as well. Oliveira not finding a whole lot of damage yet. 2 Zerglings and 2 Overlords. That's perhaps an understatement. It is incredibly rare that you'll see an 8-minute game where the Terran has opened up with 6, 8 Hellions, 8 in total, 2 Cloak Banshees, and they have not managed to kill a single Queen or a single drone. I even feel the amount of Kryptoners that went down is relatively low, all things considered. Fruit Dealer was the very first ever GSL champion, yeah, that's correct. Even before MC, Nesty, and MVP, and later on MMA and Polt, we had Fruit Dealer. Oliveira is really taking his time here. I kind of thought that he was eventually going to move out and he was going to be aggressive, but he says, nope, I'm going to be very greedy because I know that you're a very greedy boy, and killed you quick on Dynasty. This time around, I'm going to do the complete opposite. I'm going to dig in my heels. I'm going to get the strongest possible defensive setup with sensor towers, planetaries. And I'll let you get all the bases that you want. I'll let you get as many freaking drones as you want. I'm just going to try to become the invincible Terran. Drilling Claws, triple factory at this point, and the first few ghosts on the way as well. I'm still sad that you and Lambo are not coming to Home Story Cup, Lou. I'm a tiny bit... I'm not concerned about Home Story Cup because Home Story Cup is always going to be fantastic, and I don't think it really matters how many of my favorite people are there. Like, we're going to have a good time with the people that are there, but it would be a little bit sad if for the special anniversary edition a lot of top tier players can't make it, and some of my favorite friends and community members can't make it either. I know everybody's getting older and there are different things in life to worry about. I was kind of hoping that number 25 would bring everyone together one last time. Before maybe we'll get a future edition of a Home Story Cup in one of the upcoming RTSs. Whether that is a Stormgate or Zero Space or maybe David Kim's special game. As you guys know, I'm a very big fan of that. Reynor is testing the waters here a little bit. Bleeding out a few units, not getting anything done. Is there an opening for the Italian Stallion here? So it's a lot of Terran buildings. And also some good firepower. Reynor is also sending it in the bottom center. The Vipers are a little bit exposed. He's going to go for double Parabomb. There's just absolutely nothing else to kill. Reynor doesn't get a whole lot here, guys. He gets a couple missile turrets. He gets a sensor tower. Kind of felt like that was about it. Now getting rid of some of these roaches that are not scaling incredibly well into the late game. It's not the worst thing in the world. But I'm sure that Reynor was hoping for a tiny bit more than he actually managed to get there. The name is not announced yet, Neil Emsky. But if you press !secret, you'll see a link to their YouTube channel. The studio is called Unkept Games. And I believe more info will be available on the 7th of June. I actually don't even know the name yet. So it's not that I'm hiding something. When we went there and we played the game, there was no name. They said they had a name, but they were not willing to share it with us yet. But they also said they might still change it. But I believe on the 7th of June they will announce the name. Will this be the last Home Story Cup? I don't necessarily have any reason to believe that's the case, but you never know. Talk more about Home Story Cup later, as Reynor feels that it is time to see if Ultras and Banelings can shine here. We've got all the good upgrades that we could dream of. So much freaking Terran. Oliveira's got a very strong defensive setup. The micro, of course, is good on the side of Oliveira, like we expect from the man who is the reigning world champ. Yeah. We're gonna see this a couple times over, guys. This will be rinse and repeat. Reynor is mining of a lot of bases. He's got the two very important corner bases as well, bottom left, top right. Those are most of the time the bases that a long game, a macro-oriented game on Golden Hour comes down to. Who takes control of bottom left, who takes control of the top right. And the quicker that Reynor can steal away a lot of resources from both of those bases, the better. This is going to be very hard for Reynor if Oliveira's SCV count goes down to actually keep control of those bases. I know there are some lag spikes, guys. That is because these games are played on the Asia server. And even though I am not actually lagging, this Battle.net is a little bit annoying sometimes. If you are from Europe and you're connecting to Asia, once every few games you just randomly start having pretty bad spikes. This seems to be one of those games. But I don't think I'm annoying the players. I really love that Reynor has fully saturated this base. And then other bases that he can later safely mine from, like this one, are still empty. I think that's incredibly smart, and that's actually something I'm missing sometimes from Zerg players. This is a meat grinder setup if I've ever seen one. Units lost resource tab is showing us that Reynor has already lost 5 or 6,000 resources more than Oliveira. We have 2 infestors, and a couple of snipes have gone down. Pew pew pew, pew pew. Oliveira is going full Maru on us. Sarutobi, the Chinese admin of WTL, was in the chat earlier saying that Oliveira bought Maru KFC and in return Maru gave Oliveira some secrets. Perhaps Maru told Oliveira to just take it very slow and steady on Golden Hour and eventually you'll be fine. You start off with 3 bases, then you go up to 4, then you go up to 5. You say you think Oliveira wins? I don't think that's a bad call right now. I mean, I like a lot of the things that Reynor have done. It just kind of feels that Oliveira is getting one of those invincible setups. And right now, Reynor is already having a difficult time winning fights. Imagine what's going to happen if Oliveira's SCV count goes down a little. Because he has mined out the original 3-4 bases and he doesn't need 77 SCVs anymore. Liberator count is going to go up. The ghost count is going to go up. And what should Reynor do, Roddy? Well, you need to somehow find a good fight. Nice kill on the medevac there, by the way. Went for the Liberator, got the medevac. We're gonna need magical spellcasting. Without great spellcasting, there really is no way for Zerg players to win games like this. Oliveira has played an incredibly passive game for his standards. Yeah, can't say he's done anything wrong. As he's now making progress to the bottom left. There are not... Actually, there's a decent amount of resources left in the bottom. Well, it's a bit deceiving, guys. 3 or 4 of those mineral patches are about to be mined out. Only like 100 left on this one, 200 left on this one. So Oli getting his hands on bottom left is not like the worst thing ever for Reynor. Might even allow Reynor to finally take some good fights. We've got 9 Broodlords in the mix. Infestor count is going to go up a little. We don't have any Vipers anymore. We had Vipers a while ago. They have died. Reynor has opted not to replace those yet. This is where it's not going to be that easy for Oliveira anymore to always have his units in the correct place. As he's moving a lot of units to the top right. That means that these tanks are going to get picked off. This is maybe where the Zerg is actually able to find some better fights. Like going down a ramp like this. Or walking 200 supply through the side blockers here. It's never going to end well. But once Oli is gonna spread himself thin a little bit across Golden Aura, which is a large map, it might be doable for Reynor to get a jump on these ghosts. To land a nice fungal. Especially with Broodlords, by the way, going to town on the planetary here. I think Reynor is looking at his army and he probably said, hey, wait a minute. The medevac count is very low here, so if there is a world where I can jump on these ghosts, I can actually kill a lot of them. I don't really like that Oliveira lost all these units here, didn't kill bottom left, and decided to just grab all of his tanks and ghosts and go to the top right. I felt that this was a game that he was in some control of. And now I feel like he has just given multiple openings to Reynor, multiple excellent trades for Reynor, even the planetary dies. And the only thing that he really got in return is that he took out the hatchery on the top right side. I think I like the last 90 seconds a lot more for Reynor than I liked it for Oliveira. Oh, Widow Mines? Wow. Widow Mines connecting with Broodlords. That's not something we see very often. Incredibly rare. Fusion Core was a little bit late maybe on this side of Oliveira. Powerful army. It's a lot of ghosts. I am surprised that Oliveira is willing to send these units out, because this army is expensive enough that if it ever gets cleaned up, he's going to have an incredibly difficult time replacing it. It seems that Oliveira just believes that he will never lose this army, but there's only a single medevac here, guys, so at best you could save 4 ghosts if you get surrounded. Oliveira is full of confidence that he doesn't have to worry about getting surrounded. Got a few Thors in the mix, got a single tank in the mix. Some Hellions that can morph into Hellbats. Gonna have to disengage now though. There's a Reynor, by the way, is now gonna try to take his hands. Or get his hands on that 9 o'clock base. I didn't see it, Gugus, but that sounds like something that Reynor could do and would do just for fun. Ultra getting picked off there by one of the tanks. Current army composition is 15 ghosts, 6 tanks, 2 liberators, 4 hellbats and 5 Thors, while Reynor is working with 18 broodlords. Holy smokes. I have the feeling that Oliveira's army is incredibly good against 18 broodlords. Of course, if Reynor can just get some sort of a trade, he can remax on whatever the hell he wants to remax on, as he's got basically 8,000 resources in the bank, 4,000 minerals, 4,000 gas, give or take. But I'm afraid that Reynor is not going to get much of a trade here. He might just get completely blasted. So much energy on these ghosts. Reynor wanted to go for a quick hive, wanted to play a greedy game, and Oliveira said, sure, you'll be greedy, I'll be greedy, and we both just stack up. And we'll see who's favored in the late game. This is starting to look really good for the world reigning champ. For the reigning world champ, that is. As Reynor is going to try to get a couple spores. Does land a fungal. It's a tiny fungal though, mostly on mech units. Doesn't do a whole lot. One of the Vipers gets obliterated immediately. The second one is able to get a blinding cloud off. The ghost count is just so incredibly high. As the Liberators are going to creep their way forward too. They should have advanced ballistics by now. They do have it. If you guys have any ideas on how Reynor is going to take a great fight here, please share it with me. I know, fungal, neuroparasite, right? Maybe neuroparasite a ghost to EMP the other ghosts, and then we land fungals, whatever, but it's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes. Sounds like our boy is gonna have to do a crazy amount of things right to take a even decent fight here. And as a Zerg, you can often get tricked into having the feeling you get a great start to the fight, and then you stick around just a little bit too long. Neurals can wear off, EMPs land on your remaining infestors, and then you still get obliterated. Why not add Vikings? Because Vikings are not that good against infestors and parasitic bomb of the Viper. And I don't think you really need it. Like, why build Vipers if you can build more Thors, Liberators and Ghosts? It just seems like a better option. I don't know if Reynor has seen that nuke, by the way. Since he is going away. Does seem like he did. Vikings are pretty expensive and they're just not good against spellcasters. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have a bunch of Vikings, but I completely understand that Oliveira says, nah, don't need it. I'd rather get ghosts that are not just good against Broodlords, but are good against everything. Same goes for the Thor. Reynor going for a little run by on this planetary in the top right as Oliveira is relatively immobile army. This is obviously the biggest downside for Oliveira, is that it's not that easy to move Thors and Ghosts from the top left to the bottom left, as we have 2 Bailings. This is not a planetary, it's an orbital! No! Reynor, why did you turn around? I feel like the initial connection would have been a lot bigger. Reynor could have gotten a little more there. Kinda sad that he turned them around at the absolute last second as an EMP connects with 6 of these infestors in the center of the map. Oliveira has been very, very low on the medevac count for a while. I was already surprised that he was so low on it when he went for some move-outs earlier, but I mean, can we really knock him? He's only built 4 medevacs in this entire game. We do have a nice fungo on the Ghost, but one fungo is only going to tickle these Ghosts. The Broodlords are able to get a couple of volleys off. All the Broodlings are just disappearing immediately. Oliveira's army is so freaking powerful here, guys. I don't know. Liberators could go for attack move. Some of them are. We do have a parasitic bomb landing on one of the lips. As I hear a couple of the ghosts dying, but I'm afraid this is not enough ghosts, even though that medevac count is very low. This is not one of these fights where you can heal up your ghosts forever. As Reynor is doing a very good job in keeping these Broodlords alive, and he's actually starting to turn this into a very good fight. As now the Lings are able to just storm through and get on top of these ghosts. It's honestly so freaking impressive. It wasn't cheap and it wasn't easy. But Reynor gets, I think, what we can call a cleanup. As he has basically killed every single mech unit that was on the other side of the map. Yeah, I think 2 or 3 extra medevacs would have made a very big difference there. There was just nothing healing the Ghost. In a 24-minute game, Oliveira only built 4 medevacs. Impressive how Reynor did that. Really good job with the Broodlords. Nice micro, nice movement. Landed a couple fungals in the beginning. And obviously just bought time. And he prolonged that fight to make it go on forever. I think that single parabomb on the Liberators helped out a little. Yeah. Nice split there by Reynor. Only a single Zergling going down against that Widowmine. Can Reynor take this fight? The ghost count is 8. We have Thors. This is obviously going to be off creep. There are no queens helping us this time around. As the infestors are lurking at the bottom. Oliveira is running and scan. He knows. A crucial fight around this base in the top right side of Golden Aura after 25 minutes of video gaming here on the Friday afternoon. This could very well be the fight that Hero Marine would describe as the game deciding fight. We have 6 Broodlords remaining. We have 8 Ultras in the mix as well. In third world where Reynor could maybe surround the army, guys. If you could come in from 2 angles, that'd be sick. These 2 armies are just kind of standing at each other like an old school Western. This is where they walk around and eventually they turn around and they shoot each other. Never thought I would find a scenario where a cowboy reference would make some sense, but kind of what it looks like. Here we go. Reynor says this is it. It's now or never as we're going to try to land neural parasites. Feels that Oliveira's setup is really good. The Ultras are doing their thing, but the Ghosts are sitting pretty in the back. They were able to get a lot of snipes off. A few Ultras remain to get on top of these Ghosts. The Liberators are actually all gone down as well as the Corruptors have managed. Wow, I can't believe it. Again, Reynor takes another incredibly impressive fight. Does need to maybe be careful going super far off rip. But Oliveira has lost all the Ghosts once more. And Reynor does what looked like it was going to be impossible for a little while. And that is win this game on Golden Aura. Against an incredibly well set up Oliveira with a straight up terrifying Terran force. GG. What a final fight there. Awesome. That was the game deciding fight. And it looked like that was an incredibly terrifying Terran line of units to run into. Tanks, Thors, Liberators, Ghosts pretty in the back. But Reynor gets the job done. Very impressive. A very, very impressive fight by Reynor. First on his side of the map, obviously, at his triangle base. That was a phenomenal hold. Where maybe Oliveira should have had indeed just 3 medevacs. Like having 3 instead of 1 would really allow your Ghosts to just stand there a little while longer and absorb some of these Broodlord's shots and still get the job done. Having only a single Ghost or single medevac to heal up 15 Ghosts or whatever the hell it was. Yeah. That's not just working overtime anymore. That's trying to run an entire hospital by yourself. Mm, 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 mm. Amphion, guys, will be map 4. Reynor takes the 2-1 lead in a best of 5 where I was honestly worried that he was going to start trailing 1-2. Sure, he had a quick hive, he had a strong economy, but for a solid 6 to 8 minutes straight, I think I liked that game a whole lot more for Oliveira than I liked it for Reynor. Impressive. Maybe Reynor found something that he enjoys, like going ultra heavy on the Brute Lords for a while to then just switch back into the ground army. Is this something that you can always get away with? Is this the way to play that late game kind of ZVT? Would it work if Oliveira stays at home or builds more medevacs? I don't know, but I am impressed that Reynor won the game. Round 4, guys. Basilisk Big Brain Bouts. Once, not in a lifetime, but once a year. Special edition, the Asia edition, to celebrate Reynor's trip to Korea.
Round 4. Fight!
Top left side of Amphion, we are looking at the main base of the man that is representing Basilisk, taking the 2-1 lead, and we'll see him soon in the WTL Codas match as well against Twisted Fairy. This is Reynor. The bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of our Chinese Terran. Looked like game 3 was heading his way. I didn't like to see a very different style coming out of him, even if it was a bit slow. It looked powerful and it looked strong, and I think if you can just fine-tune that a tiny bit, he's got something he can absolutely work with on Golden Hour. Down 1-2, DKZ, Oliveira. Who will play against Twisted Fairy? So our first match is Trigger. That's Reynor, by the way, goes pull first. Will be Trigger versus Classic, I believe it was, right? Second match is Reynor versus Stats, and I think Showtime plays the last. Trigger, his match has already been played. They played yesterday. So there will probably not be a lot of downtime before they start that series. I hope that I can watch it. Obviously, we're going to finish the BBB, and after that, we'll take a look at the games in WTL Codas. But yeah. A long morning of Starcraft 2, guys. A lot of words will be spoken today in this household. This BBB is so good. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, Nick. That makes me happy. Shout out to Reynor, guys. Little round of applause for Reynor. Normally the BBB is my baby, but I handed the rights to my firstborn child to Reynor for this week. And yes, it's been a bit messy and we flipped a couple series around, but I'm very proud of him. He got it done, and that ain't easy. Oliveira going for an SCV scout here, and the timing of the links and obviously seeing that this hatchery is not done yet will immediately give a Terran player that has the level of Oliveira enough information to know, alright, this was pull first into a slightly later hatchery. What he does not know is when the gases were taken. And you do need to be a tiny bit concerned about certain very weird things that could be heading your way. Zergs are in general not too aggressive in the first 3 minutes of this matchup, but once in a blue moon, Zergs do like to think outside of the playbook and come up with something feisty, special, that will never work if it gets scouted, but if it doesn't get scouted, it could work. That is a mega quick lair, guys. Reynor goes for a lair before a Zergling speed. A pre 3-minute lair. How often do you see that in high level ZVT? If you're a very big fan of Bly, you'll probably tell me pretty often, Roddy. Bly does it all the time. Talking about any Zerg that's not Bly, okay, guys? I don't know if it's night. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to make any predictions because I can obviously list all the possible predictions, and that is indeed Nidus. Could also still be Muda Ling Bane. Could even be... If this was a ZVP, we'd be talking about Swarmhost. Swarmhost are pretty freaking dreadful against Bio, so I have a hard time imagining that that's going to be the case. Unless Reynor would be blindly banking on the fact. I think it's just Mutalisk, guys. It is world's quickest spire. A 4-minute spire. 3 minutes and 50-something seconds. That is about as quick of a spire as you're ever going to see between two of the best players in the world. Oliveira probably a little bit confused. We're like, alright, mate. I know that you opened up with a pool before a hatchery. What's happening? What are we doing? now going to pick up 6 Marines. And even 6 Marines, by the way, have a lot of potential. Because the only fighting units that Reynor currently has are 4 Queens and 2 Zerglings. These Zerglings don't have Zergling speed either. So Oliveira is going to drop on top of this 3rd hatchery. That's bad news for Reynor, but he should be able to cancel it. Please cancel it. Will cancel it at the absolute last second. He waited as long as possible there because he needs time. He needs a few more units. He's building Zerglings. That's cute and all, guys, but he has no Zergling speed. I hope we know that. And now he's also getting a Roach point. Fires up Link speed at minute 5. This is a bizarre build by Reynor, but I kind of like it. And Oliveira, you can see that, guys, he doesn't want to do something silly where he's like, okay, if it's that easy to get a cancel on the 3rd base, something scary must be happening. And he didn't want to overstay his welcome, even though we knew he was mega safe and there was nothing that Reynor had that could really kill this medevac early. And now the Spire is done. Let's go ahead and just follow the first-person view of Oliveira for a little bit. He's got an eBay, so he could build turrets. But I don't think he's worried about that. He's got Stim. He's got a lot of Marines and he's got Stim. And if Oliveira just absolutely sends it here, and he's actually going to go for a triple drop into the main, Reynor is in trouble. He is going to crank out some Roaches. We have Mutalisk somewhere. Those Mutas are already in the main base, so I do think SCVs are going to die. Does Reynor have enough to kill this many Marines? Some of the Marines are not battling actually in the back of the army. Wow. Reynor holds, guys, and that's monstrous. Because now his Mutalisk are finding damage in the bottom side of the map. What a build by Reynor. You guys smell what the Italian stallion is cooking over here? I don't even know how to call this. But it is absolutely a specialty of the house. Kills 17 SCVs. What a build. What execution by Reynor. Oh my. I mean, sure, crazy, greedy, and it may die if Oliveira just sneezes at you in the early game. But it actually seems like it's going to work out. That's awesome, man. Very creative opening here by Reynor. I can't believe that he's getting away with it. Good stuff. As he's now obviously a 3-base Zerg. He has a 26 worker lead over 2-base Oliveira. Yeah, Mules, I know. Well, we're gonna send... Okay. Okay, Reynor's gonna have to build some spines. We're gonna pull the boys. Can you believe it? We're pulling the boys in TVZ. If this was a TVB, it'd be like, yeah, okay, against Zealots and Stalkers. Yeah, we see that all the time. But we're bringing the boys. Reynor's gonna just crank out as many Ravages as he can, because he can spam Corrosive Bow here forever. Oliveira does not want to collect these Corrosive Bows. What he could maybe do is just kill the Roach one, kill the 3rd base, and then go home. The 5 meters are coming in from the back. Oliveira's army is still powerful. Reynor does have Roach speed. Maybe he's gonna take this fight here. Well, there's not many boys remaining. One of the tanks is about to get picked off. Corrosive Bows are landing in the middle of all these medevacs. That is a dead medevac. Reynor did lose a lot of Roaches. I think with the last few Roaches, Ravages, Mura still working on that tank. There is lag. I'm so sorry. That's just Asia server things, guys. That is Asia Battle.net. Does not like it when I connect from Europe. I do think that Reynor will be able to hold. It is close. There are some extra units coming in. Can the Mutas pick up these medevacs? I want to say it's good enough. Oliveira's down to 12 SCVs, guys. He's got no time to waste. He has to move with haste. And he throws down a scan. That's very expensive. When you have 12 SCVs throwing down a scan in the nature of your opponent is expensive. Oliveira knows that it is now or never, as Reynor just wants to take care of that tank. Because once that tank is gone, all that's remaining is a few Marines. He'll take care of those as well. And GG gets called. The Italian Stallion gets the dub. 3-1 over Oliveira. And we'll hear all about it as we're going to give him a call, as he will cast the final best of 5 with us as well. So Reynor gets $150. Oliveira will still get $50 for playing. That was our 3rd series. We've got one more remaining, guys, on this Asia edition of the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts. That will be Solar versus Cure. And Reynor will be on the mic with me to talk about those games, but obviously talk a little bit about the games that he just played as well. Cool series. Actually, I really like this, and I'm looking forward to chatting a little bit with Reynor about it. I'm going to go ahead and take a tiny break, guys. I'll set up the prediction. We have to not really rush, but the thing is that we have BASILISK playing in the WTL Code S, which is the most prestigious team league in the world. In Yeah, less than an hour. So I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. If we miss a bit of the PvP, you guys just have to tell me how well Trigger is doing in those games. But obviously, as soon as Big Brain Bouts is over, we'll focus on the WTL matches. Tiny break. After that, I'll be back with Reynor as we're going to watch Solar duke it out with Cure. Same deal as usual. $150 for the winner, $50 for the loser. And that will be the end of our Big Brain Bouts. So 3 minutes, TVZ, WTL Kones. That's the game plan for this Friday. See you guys soon.